Welcome to the arcade, I'm Sleepless Night, and today Keepsake Games had some announcements about upcoming multiplayer co-op PvE game Jumpspace. I promised I'd make a video about this as soon as I had the information, so we're going to touch on the price and have a brief look at the roadmap for the future of the game. I'm going to try to rein myself in a bit and keep this video as short as possible. I don't think I'll succeed, but I'll try because I don't want to spend 24 hours of my life working on a video that will only be relevant for about 9 days. But there is a lot to cover, so we'll see how we go. Let's get the price out of the way first of all. I personally think they've lowballed the price a little. They said that people would be pleasantly surprised at the price of the game, and they weren't kidding. I honestly thought the early access price would be somewhere between $30 and $40 because I do think the game is worth at least that much, but the price at early access launch will be $19.99. There will be regional price differences, but Keepsake have tried to keep it as consistent as possible. Daniel Kaplan mentioned, and this was news to me and apparently even to the rest of the devs at Keepsake, that Steam has a price matrix which always prices the game in Poland way higher than the rest of Europe for some reason, so he has tweaked those prices manually in order to offset that. But otherwise, I think it's £16.75 here in the UK, €19.50, so regional prices will differ slightly as they usually do, but why so cheap? Game director Philip Koulianos mentioned that because this is a multiplayer co-op PvE game, they want you to be able to play it with your friends, and they didn't want price to be a barrier to that. In other words, they didn't want the price point to get in the way of you having to play this game with that friend who maybe wasn't entirely convinced he would like it, or anyone whose budget is very tight. They want you guys to get out there and enjoy this game with your friends, so they priced it to allow as many people to afford it as possible. Will that price change in the future? Who knows? It might. It's not uncommon at all to see games with one price during early access and a higher price at 1.0. I think this is a good idea. The lower price reflects the fact that this is an unfinished product and rewards those keen enough to play it at that stage, keeping in mind that the game will change and improve and that bugs will be fairly common in games that are as yet unfinished. I have a lot more to say on the issue of pricing, especially when it comes to live service games, but we'll save that for a separate video. Suffice it to say that I think this particular game is worth more than $20, so get it while it's hot. There was a lot the devs had to say about the roadmap and in response to viewer questions about the future of the game, so I'll try to cover those as quickly as possible with attention given specifically to the disclaimer at the top of the roadmap, which makes it clear that this is a living roadmap and will change and be updated throughout development depending on whether or not they can make certain things work as intended and in response to community feedback. Keepsake are keen to grow this game with the help of the community to some extent, so if the majority of players really hate a certain feature, they'll take another look at it. If there is some feature that enough of the community really want and keep asking for, they will take a look at that and see if they can make it work. Pineapple pizza, I'm afraid, is pineapple pizza, and PvP is never going to happen, so there are some things the devs are quite firm on, but certain elements are subject to possible change depending on how the game goes. Looking at the roadmap then, if we start with what the game will launch with on the 19th of September, I can see a couple of things that aren't really explained sufficiently well for me to go into much greater detail. But going from the top, there will be 9 mission types. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean that once you've played 9 missions you've seen everything. That means 9 types of missions. In the demo, there were only 2 different types of missions. One was a salvage mission, and one was a cargo ship raid. The cargo ship raid final stage was always pretty much the same, but each mission has several different stages in different environments with different emergent hazards in each place. So 9 different mission types already ensures a lot of variety in gameplay from one session to another. But where it gets fuzzy is when they talk about regions and sectors, since what they are calling regions and sectors, from what Koulianos said, are back to front from what I would call regions and sectors. So Jumpspace's sectors seem to refer to the levels you will pass through as you complete a mission. So an asteroid field, a snowy planetoid, a battle debris field, a rocky moon, a nebula, that sort of thing. Koulianos estimates there were roughly 15 in the demo, and there are now more than 50. Whereas regions seems to refer to the sectioned off bits of the galaxy that you can move into as you unlock them. In the demo, there was only one, and while we could see the others on the galaxy map, we couldn't actually go there. In the first stage of early access, there will be 4 of these regions. There is now one additional ship you can pilot called the Dart. This is a smaller ship intended for smaller crews or lone players, and while it is possible to use this ship with a larger crew, the devs don't recommend it as it was not designed for that purpose and doesn't work well with larger crews. So I expect to see lots and lots of social media video clips where people have tried this. You will unlock this ship and any further ships they add as we go along by finding something like an odd radar signature or something of that sort in a particular sector. This will eventually apply to other unlockable items, but in the case of new ships, you will find a black box in a shipwreck, which will unlock the new ship upon completing the mission, which is important, you must finish it, and returning to the hangar with the black box. There are also 26 unlockable ship components as opposed to the 4 or 5 that we had in the demo. There is one more player weapon at the moment, bringing the total to 8, with more to be added later. There are now 16 ship enemies and 11 ground enemies. I didn't go around counting enemy variants, but I think that's only an increase of 1 or 2 at the moment, but don't quote me on that. Jumpspace was planned in 4 chapters, which seems a bit vague, but will apparently make more sense once you've played the game again. So, now that we've looked at what will be in Chapter 1, let's look at the rest of the roadmap and see what the future of the game has in store for us. Chapter 2 is slated for some time between launch and Q1 of 2026 and will apparently bring an endless mode, text chat, a new gun, hangar, vendors, melee weapons, offline support, a ship shield revamp, sector modifiers, a lobby browser, more sectors, a second chapter to the story, a new ship, buddy bot improvements, more components and artifacts, a player trait system, slide movement because players love to be able to slide, new enemies, photo mode, and more mission types. A lot of those are self-explanatory, but let me just touch on a few of them in more detail. The new gun seems obvious, but you'll notice this has an image of the firing range, and this ties in with the box next to it because the devs have now removed all the guns from the firing range at the hangar. In the next chapter, they will add hangar vendors so that you can buy a gun with credits and then bring it with you on a mission. In the demo, credits were used to buy spacesuits and upgrades for your ship, but this will no longer be the case. Now you will earn suits and upgrades by doing quests, or what Jumpspace is calling favors for certain characters, while credits will be used, once vendors are added, to purchase guns or other helpful items, presumably things like the ship artifacts we're used to finding throughout missions, to build a loadout with specific advantages for the mission you are about to embark on, dependent on what information you can glean about that mission's specific difficulties from the description on the galaxy map. The game will not launch with melee weapons, but they are coming in the first big update. They have apparently got the melee weapons working in the game, but at this stage they just want to concentrate on giving the players as stable a game as possible and fixing as many things as they can, as early as they can, before adding in too many new things at once, each with the potential to break it all to shit. A few people asked about the ship shield revamp, and the devs explained that they aren't really happy with the way the shields work at the moment and are working on a different method that they hope will make it a bit more interesting. But whether or not that is the revamp that will make it into the game depends on how well they can make it work. Sector modifiers are hazards or restrictions or changes of some sort, such as an ion storm in one example given, which will alter the way certain missions work. An ion storm might reduce the number of working slots in your power grid, and you would have to account for that if you saw it as a potential mission hazard on the galaxy map. More sectors, expanded story, and a new ship speak for themselves. Remember that Keepsake have said they will keep adding new ships and new weapons to the game. I have no idea what improvements they are planning to make to BuddyBot. More components and artifacts seems fairly obvious, as do sliding, new enemies, mission types, and a photo mode. The player trait system will work by adding augmentations to your character's suit. Whether you will buy these or find them or earn them, I don't know. But they are not permanent changes to your character. So, in other words, you don't have to pick a specialization and stick with it. You can change these buffs to your character by swapping out augmentations to give certain advantages which would be helpful to the role you have chosen for your character or the one you are taking on for this particular mission. I doubt we'll see Chapter 3 before spring of 2026 at the earliest, but when we do, it will bring yet another new gun, more sectors, the often requested first-person pilot view, or cockpit view as some have called it, a scanner revamp of some sort, more story, more missions, in-game voice chat, another new ship, new enemies, a ground-based boss, and weapon variants, which I assume, or at least I hope, will mean different skins for weapons you already have. I personally would like a variety of skins for the multi-tool so that it becomes like your hero weapon, and you can customize it to your character. Beyond all of that, who knows? Again, the roadmap is likely to change in response to a number of factors, not least of which is community feedback, so let the devs know what you think. A lot of players, for example, didn't like the fact that certain doors and interactable mission consoles needed all players to be present at the same time. So that changed, and now the most you will ever need is all players but one, so one less number than the number of players you have, leaving someone behind to repair the ship or get a drink or something without everyone else having to wait for them. The game we will get at launch is already quite different from the game we saw in the demo, so let's see what it's like first before we all rush out and buy 100 copies each to make Koulianos build that battleship he's promised to put in the game if it passes 1 million copies sold. There will be a few achievements at launch, but not many, and only on Steam. There will be none on Xbox, because Xbox apparently have much more rigid rules about how to launch achievements and what an achievement can be. And from listening to the devs talk amongst themselves, I think we can expect, as with most games ported from PC to Xbox, that the Xbox version might have a few more issues than the Steam version, at least at launch. But I guess we'll see when Jumpspace launches on Friday, September 19th, at 3 p.m. UK time, which is 4 p.m. in Sweden, 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time, and if you need any more times than that, you can look them up. Google is a thing, use it to your advantage. Apologies if this video has seemed a little more rushed than a lot of my videos, but as I said, I don't want to spend 24 hours making a video that will only be relevant for about a week. So that's it from me, but you can find me or support me at any of the places listed in the video description or in the arcade channel header. Channel memberships are active now, so you can join if you really feel like helping. You should even be able to hype the video if you're watching it on a mobile device, but honestly, one of the best ways you can help the channel is to like the video and leave a comment if you have something to say. But until next time, from the arcade, this is Sleepless Night, saying nighty-night.